Hello, has this ever happened to you? You go on a trip, and after you come back, your friends and families want to see pictures of the trip, naturally, but you're scared to show them because you're scared that if you show them a picture, they will swipe and see something horrendous like Shrek feet, some cringy TikTok quotes, or whatever horrendous things you have on your phone. Well, if that is you, let me introduce you to travel posters. So a month ago I went to London and I took a bunch of pictures, but I don't really show them around too much. They're just in my phone all the time. But I also feel like they deserve something better instead of just being in my phone. So I thought, let's just take the best of these pictures and turn them into a poster. By the way, quick shout out to London. Also, London was amazing. People were amazing. Food, surprisingly really good. It was really good, even though it was cold and it was rainy, but I think it has its own charm. I also went outside of London to this small town called Cotswold. I think it's in the UNESCO heritage site as well. Amazing place, really beautiful. Highly recommend. But let's get back to our topic. So here I have a couple of shots and I'll be using them. The first one is from Chinatown, where I had the best chicken popcorn of my life. The second one, I thought this was a really cool graffiti near Waterloo Station. Looks nice. This is a boat inside a glass jar from the Maritime Museum in Greenwich. This is just me in front of a telephone booth with my umbrella. And finally, this is a random picture of a full English breakfast. Full. That I had. So yeah, we'll be working with these pictures. Now, I did make a poster a few days ago and it looks like this. But there are some things that I just don't really like about this. I think I experimented a bit too much here, so let's make a new one. I'm going for more of a vintage retro look with this poster, so either it's going to be like black and white, almost stampy, or it's going to be like one of those vintage magazines from like 80s, 90s, I don't know. Something along those lines, we'll see. First, this was completely random, but I wanted like a few newspapers in the background. I don't know why, it's just popped in my mind, like just add a bunch of random newspapers, so that's what I go with here. Next, I make this stacked collage of all the pictures that I'm using. I did crop them out a bit to give them variations across dimensions, to give them variations basically, and I group them together and add like a stroke so it looks like a stamp. Next, I also played around with the blending options, so there are like small details of the newspapers that sort of poke through these photos. I don't know if it's visible. If I zoom in, you can see these effects. This actually looks really good when zoomed in. Here's where the real interesting part begins, and that is using halftones. There are many ways to add halftones in Photoshop. You can go to filter and then just apply halftones from there. Here I wanted to use a tutorial from Texture Labs. You hear that name a lot in this channel. Texture Lab is another YouTube channel and I really like their content. So, but yeah, here I will be using the CMYK halftones. I think it is important to mention that I am working on CMYK color space and not RGB, because the end goal of this process is to print out stuff so I can just hand them to people who ask about photos. And also because the halftone patterns, they work, the CMYK halftone patterns that I'm going to use, they work only in CMYK color space. If you cannot tell if there are halftones in this image, again, let me zoom in and you can see sort of the halftone effect. It looks really nice. But anyways, we select the CMYK halftone pattern and then we set it to hard mix, and that's about it. Next step was adding a text. I don't know why, but I wanted to go with like a engraved sort of thing here. This doesn't look really engraved, but the text is not standing out, and that's what I wanted. So here's that, and here's what the final poster looks like. The next step now would be to print it and just give it to people.